Welcome into another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods. I'm Liv Moods, and as always, this is presented by Landmark Lincoln. Shout out to our friends over at Landmark Lincoln. Make sure you head to their location off of Bellevue and Broadway to figure out why they have been the #1 Lincoln dealer in Colorado for as long as they have. I am the proud new owner of a 2025 Lincoln Nautilus and could not love my car more. So make sure you head to their location, see all that they have to offer you. I'll stop blabbing about cars, though. Let's get into the show. Welcome into another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods. I am Liv Moods, your host for today, and we have lots to discuss. The NBA trade deadline is over with, and I honestly could not be more thankful. There is something about the trade deadline that just has me on the edge of my seat. I feel ill, I'm worried, and honestly, I think the Luka Doncic trade last season has made me now a very anxious NBA trade deadline person. Normally, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what teams do. You could get a completely different basketball team just by making a few switches and swaps. But honestly, now I feel a little petrified every time this deadline is approaching, but it is over. I can finally take a deep breath and we can do a little bit of recapping on all the things that went down. Some of the major ones. I'm not going to go through every single trade because there were quite a few. We know how this works in the NBA. It's such a star-driven league that teams really do play chess this time of the year. The big ones, though, however, probably the biggest one, the one that was like the first one that kind of created some shock for me, was James Harden for Darius Garland. You've got James Harden now with the you've got Darius Garland now with the Los Angeles Clippers. You've got James Harden with Cleveland. This is an interesting one. This is very, very interesting. I mean, is this putting James Harden in a better position to win a championship? Maybe, just maybe. I like the move, honestly. I'm very interested to see how this goes. More than that, though, I feel like the Clippers still have some work to do. The Clippers, to me, unfortunate but true, have been a very unserious franchise for me for some time now. So I'm kind of over the Clippers, the moves that they decide to make. Every experiment they've tried to perform has been a failure. So I just don't have any confidence or trust in this organization. As for Cleveland, though, they've been one of those teams over the last couple of seasons that have been this close, right? Like this close. They have such a good regular season last year, and then kind of a disappointing postseason. Will James Harden be the golden ticket? Will he be what changes that for them? I don't necessarily think so, but maybe it's a culture issue. Maybe you get a veteran like James Harden in the locker room and things can kind of get a little bit more exciting for them. So I don't know if this made a huge difference for them in terms of their success on the season, but I did find it to be an interesting trade. Another team that's very interesting to me right now is the Washington Wizards. As we know, Trae Young actually is now a Washington Wizard, and it was kind of, at that time, it was like, okay, they're clearly in rebrand mode, which is cool because it's been a while since we've been excited about the Washington Wizards. And then they get Anthony Davis, who I would argue any team that Anthony Davis is on is going to benefit from Anthony Davis, so long as he stays healthy. That's the key. With Anthony Davis, you never know what you're going to get. The injury bug is kind of, a part of his game, unfortunately. And if you can get him healthy, if you can build a team around Anthony Davis and Trae Young, I think those are two very important pieces, very talented players that are easy to build around. So I think things are looking up in Washington. I like the move that they made in getting Anthony Davis after already having Trae Young. I'm excited to see what the future holds for them. Another team that kind of felt like they were in rebrand mode ahead of the deadline was the Chicago Bulls. And about damn time. I'm not sure if it did anything. The Chicago Bulls are one of those franchises that after their prime, after their peak, we haven't really seen much else, but they definitely were in rebrand mode. Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Utah Jazz is another very interesting one to me. I'm a big fan of JJJ. I like this move for Utah. I really do. I think this is like, they kind of moved quietly. They kind of moved quietly ahead of the trade deadline. And I think that they made some very strategic and important moves that are going to bring a lot of value. So I'm liking Jaren Jackson Jr. in Utah. Now, what does that do to the Memphis Grizzlies? Well, the Memphis Grizzlies still with Ja Morant, who was rumored to be interested in being traded at one point. The Grizzlies were exercising their potential option and trading away Ja Morant for somebody else. They were keeping their eyes on things happening with the Minnesota Timberwolves. There were a lot of rumors circulating around Ja Morant and his future with the Memphis Grizzlies. As it turns out, they didn't really. A lot of teams know that Ja Morant is a talented player. Obviously, they're interested in that, but none of them really bit the bullet. Whoa, maybe wrong choice of words there. None of them really went forth with pursuing Ja Morant in a serious trade. Now, you could break that down a million different ways. Did that have something to do with his off-court shenanigans? Did it have something to do with his injuries that he's had as of late? His shooting has not been the best as he's been dealing with injuries. A lot of things there could be contributing, but it sounds like Ja Morant is staying in Memphis as far as we know. You lost Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic. You lost Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Utah Jazz. Not really sure what to anticipate from the Memphis Grizzlies, but I do know I don't think many teams are scared of them in the West. And ever since Ja said that, it's been a problem. Zubac to the Pacers. This is an interesting one. They got a big man. I've always liked him. He's not the most consistent. He's not the most terrifying, but I got to tell you, when my Denver Nuggets were facing the Los Angeles Clippers, we always had a hard time with this team. And he was part of that. So I do think this is an interesting move for the Pacers. Obviously, you're getting a team that just made a really deep run, not literally just a season ago. This was a team that was really threatening and really great. And I don't know. I think they've got pieces, but they need to kind of find that sync again. I don't know if there's a team right now that's super threatening in the East, but maybe this is a move that will help with that. Lots of movements made, and none of which, in my opinion, this is like my humble opinion on the NBA trade deadline, none of the changes really felt like, oh, this elevated this team to the championship level. I think they were all valuable trades ahead of the deadline that were made, and none that were entirely shocking, and none that really elevated a team to the next level that made me go, whoa, that was massive for them. I didn't feel that way. I will say Jared McCain to OKC feels like a steal. This is also an OKC team that is just getting started in terms of the picks that they've got and the things that they've got up their sleeve that they can do from a business perspective. So if OKC terrifies you now, I think that we can just pretty much bet our money on it that they're going to be terrifying for years to come. This is a team that doesn't just have a talented roster right here in this moment, but has the capability to be even scarier, even more talented in years to come based on some of the draft picks and the things that they still have in their arsenal. So to get a guy like Jared McCain that I think a lot of people felt like maybe wasn't given a fair shot with Philly, wasn't truly given a fair opportunity to show us what he's capable of, well, now he might have that opportunity with a young and a hungry team in OKC that knows how to utilize their talent. They've got a lot of it, and you've got guys that I think Jared McCain can learn from. I think he's young enough, and he's just getting started where you can kind of still, I don't want to say teach him, because he's good. Obviously, you make it to the NBA, you've obviously got something that the National Basketball Association likes. You've got something that teams want, but I think he's on a really good team right now with OKC that has got a lot of young, talented players that can teach him a thing or two, and he also may have a crucial role in coming off the bench and being valuable for this team. So they're an injured team as well, so he might get more minutes than he originally anticipated. So I think that was a pretty big steal, and all things considered, with just how much OKC still has up their sleeve and in their arsenal in terms of making this team better from the business perspective, yeah, it's a little scary, of course, as a Denver Nuggets fan. I do want to talk a little bit about what the Denver Nuggets did. A couple of things here. The Denver Nuggets traded Hunter Tyson and a 2032 second-round pick to the Brooklyn Nets for the lesser favorable of a Clippers-Hawks 2026 second. I got to be honest. Anyone trades for me and says for a lesser favorable, ouch. damn, ouch. I want to give Hunter Tyson a little thank you so much for everything you did for Denver. But also, when Hunter Tyson was given an opportunity here in Denver, he did play tough. He did play hard. He did give it his all. So he will be missed. And I think I read online that he's now been waived by the Brooklyn Nets. So not entirely sure what the future has in store for Hunter Tyson. But it's very, very clear that Denver, and they made this very clear from the beginning, they were trying to get out of the luxury tax. That's been their goal. In moving Hunter Tyson, they were able to do that. It created an open roster spot for the buyout market, and it got them out of that luxury tax that they've been wanting to get out of for some time. Now, I did sit and think for a second, like, I felt like there were more moves that Denver could have made. You've got a Zeke Naji, who I'm not mad about having with Denver, but I definitely think that could have given you some wiggle room. Julian Strawther, what is Julian Strawther really giving Denver in this moment? You know, obviously a lot right now, as it pertains to the injuries that the Denver Nuggets have got. We'll get into that in a second. But there were some other guys that I would have anticipated us making moves for over a Hunter Tyson. But nonetheless, thank you, Hunter Tyson, for everything that you did for Denver. I do feel like when given the opportunity to play, he really did show up and give it his all. And for that, we are so thankful. Denver also converted swingman Spencer Jones's contract from a two-way to a standard contract. He's a second-year player, and honestly, he's earned this. Spencer Jones, as of late, has been not just crucial in the sense that we have limited healthy bodies on the Denver Nuggets, so everybody matters right now. But you get Spencer Jones in a game, you appreciate his hustle, you appreciate the defensive intensity that he plays with, but more than that, something that I never imagined I would say, and I hope he has updated his LinkedIn with this information. This guy can be dangerous from the three-point line. I'm not sure if you've watched Spencer Jones as of late, as he's gotten more valuable minutes with everybody being so injured on this Denver Nuggets roster. Spencer Jones from three is something that I like a lot, honestly. So I got to tell you, Spencer Jones to me has absolutely earned this. I'm very, very excited for him. I wasn't quite sure what to expect from Spencer Jones. The more that you're getting valuable minutes out of this guy, I do think he brings a lot of value to this Denver Nuggets roster. I do. I really think that he's somebody that you have to keep around. I think he plays with a certain intensity that is very admirable, not just by fans, but also by his teammates. The sheer fact that he has a LinkedIn that he just updates from time to time, being in the National Basketball Association, aka the NBA, is hilarious to me and just shows that he's got a personality that I really dig, and I think he's super cool. So I'm excited to have him. I'm interested to see kind of what his role continues to evolve into, because in those moments where he's gotten to have some valuable minutes and he's gotten to play, he has come up very valuable for this Denver Nuggets team. So super excited for Spencer Jones. He absolutely earned this, from a two-way to a standard contract. And this is the epitome of, you know, make the most of those next man up moments. You never know when you're going to get them. This league is riddled with injuries right now. We're going to get into that in 2 seconds, because the Denver Nuggets are out yet another player in this moment. But this is a star-driven league, and players get injured all the time because of the amount of minutes that they have to play. I mean, it's gruesome on their bodies. You've got back-to-backs nonstop. It's an 80-something game season. That doesn't include the postseason. They're bound to get injured. So the next man up mentality is really, really important. And Spencer Jones took full advantage of the next man up mentality. He got his opportunity. He took it. He ran with it. He showed not just fans, but the Denver franchise what he's capable of and what he brings to the table. And in doing so, he took his two-way contract and made it a standard contract, and he absolutely earned it. So Spencer Jones, congratulations. I'm so excited to have you here in Denver. Not only do I admire your LinkedIn profile and the consistency you show there, because by the way, I can't remember the last time I opened my LinkedIn profile. So I admire your consistency. I admire your defensive intensity, hustle, just the way you show up for every game, ready to play. And then those three-point shots that, by the way, sometimes when you release them, I'm not sure what's going to happen, because you've got a very unique shot. But my God, I am done having any type of opinion on your shot, because you are wet from the three-point line. And I really like watching you play basketball. So congratulations, Spencer Jones. Those are some of the moves that the Denver Nuggets made. And now we get on to something that there were a lot of conversations about Peyton Watson, right? Peyton Watson, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? His stock is up. His price is up. He's expensive. How are they going to afford him and also not have to deal with the luxury tax? Because that's clearly what Denver is trying to avoid. Peyton Watson reevaluated in another 4 weeks. 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks here is the window for Peyton Watson, who suffered a hamstring strain in New York versus the Knicks, a double overtime game. I was very proud of this Denver team for the way that they were pushing the New York Knicks. It is hard to play in Madison Square Garden. It just is. The Denver Nuggets looked great. This is still without Aaron Gordon and without Cam Johnson. Let's talk about that game. So, Peyton Watson out 4 weeks, will be reevaluated in a minimum of 4 weeks. This is a huge loss for Denver. Why? Because you still don't have a healthy starting five. Not too long ago, Aaron Gordon, for the second time this season, was diagnosed with yet another hamstring injury, reevaluated in 4 to 6 weeks. You still don't have Cam Johnson back. You got Christian Braun back, but let me talk about that for a second. We don't have Christian Braun back yet. Big fan of Christian Braun. Love Christian Braun. Christian Braun is back in terms of being on the floor. He's not back, though. He is not playing his typical CB-esque basketball. He's not. And I think his injury that he suffered was one of those that's probably going to take him a second, not just physically, because I don't think that the Nuggets would clear him and let him play if he wasn't physically healed, but mentally. He is not himself right now. He's not playing the game that we know he can play. He's playing timid. He's playing a little reserved. His feet look like they're glued to the floor, okay? Defensively, there really isn't the same intensity and hustle that we're used to seeing out of Christian Braun. It's a little bit of a cause for concern. I'm not going to go there yet and start doing the whole, oh my gosh, he got his bag and now look at how he's playing. No. What I do think, though, is that I think his injury probably was a bit of a mental thing as much as it was a physical thing. When you have those injuries that aren't just, and I remember thinking this, and this is going to maybe sound like a little dark, but I remember thinking when he injured his ankle, it was his ankle, I believe. When he injured his ankle, I was like, please let it be broken. Please let it be broken. And the reason that I say that is because it really is one of those injuries. When you have any type of tendon, if you have any type of not tendon, like any muscle, any soft tissue, any tendon, anything that's not just like a clean break, it really does take a while. Even when you're cleared and you come back, it takes a while. And that's kind of what I'm seeing with Christian Braun's game right now. He's not playing with the same intensity. I'm not saying he's not locked in. I think he wants to be out there and he wants to be contributing as much as humanly possible, but he's just not mentally there in the ways that he was pre-injury. So, little bit of cause for concern only because now we're down Peyton Watson. So you really do need CB as quickly as possible and in the most healthy way possible to get back to his regularly scheduled programming so that this Nuggets team doesn't slip in the Western Conference standings without Aaron Gordon, now Peyton Watson for 4 weeks, and still no Cam Johnson. It has been a massive problem. I'm going to need an exterminator to come out to Denver to get rid of these injury bugs because it's no longer just an injury bug. It's now an infestation. This is insane. This has been an insane year in terms of injuries. There was one point where Jamal Murray was the only healthy starter available. You missed Nikola Jokic for quite some time, and Nikola Jokic historically has been a very healthy player in his career. He very rarely misses time. I believe this was the most time he's ever missed in his career, was this season. While he was out, so was Aaron Gordon, so was Christian Braun, so was Cam Johnson. I mean, it has been a disaster shit show over here in Denver in terms of the injuries. It really has. It's been very, very hard. One of the guys that stepped up in the most impressive way possible for you, that was making a case for most improved player, comeback player, sixth man of the year, was the guy named Peyton Watson, who's now out 4 weeks. It's going to be hard. So I say all of that because you've got Christian Braun back. You've got Jokic back. Jokic is going to be Jokic, right? He did look very off to me versus the Knicks. I say that while he had a 30-point triple-double, right? Double overtime. It gave him a lot of opportunities, but he was really cold from the three-point line. He just didn't look like himself. And I think that this is going to happen throughout this season. We've got guys that have these injuries that aren't just going to be, they're back, they're healthy, it's done, right? It's not like a concussion where once you pass protocol, we forget about it. It's not affecting them at all. A lot of these injuries that the Denver Nuggets are facing are ones that will linger, that will lag, that will nag them throughout the year. And that's my largest concern right now. Peyton Watson also plays a very, very explosive game. I expressed my, concern for Aaron Gordon with his soft tissue injury and the explosive nature of his game. Peyton Watson's no different. So I believe Peyton is young, right? He's been relatively healthy throughout his entire career. I think he's probably a little bit more likely to bounce back quicker than an Aaron Gordon. But what we're seeing here is we're forcing the depth that was added in the offseason to really step up. I talked about Spencer Jones being a perfect example of that next man up mentality. This is a perfect opportunity for Denver to prime themselves for a deep postseason run. I know you're probably thinking, Liv, you sound crazy. You've got Christian Braun who's back, but he's not himself yet. You're still missing Cam Johnson. You're missing Aaron Gordon. You're missing one of your most valuable guys that has shown up for you with all the other injuries, and that's now Peyton Watson for at least a month. Jokic is back, but he's not quite himself yet. Like, what are you talking about? This team could make a deep postseason run. They can, and they likely will, and I'm going to tell you why. This is a really not historic necessarily from a numbers perspective, but historic on the eye test and just the energy of this team. This is a historic season, in my humble opinion, for this Denver Nuggets team, and I'm going to tell you why. First ever season where Jamal Murray is named an All-Star. He's playing exceptionally well, hence being named an All-Star. An MVP season for Nikola Jokic. A Coach of the Year season for Adelman. All things considered, with the Denver Nuggets being as injured as they are, this is a Coach of the Year type of season for David Adelman. Absolutely. This is a team, the Denver Nuggets, who are still third in the Western Conference. And they have had a new injury every week, it seems. And David Adelman has still been able to maintain a winning record with this team. They had a winning record without Nikola Jokic. When was the last time we were ever able to say that? My God, usually Nikola Jokic is out or Nikola Jokic is even on the bench, and it's like, I want to claw my eyeballs out. This Denver Nuggets team is 33-19. 33-19. 7 games behind, so there's a little bit of a jump there. The Thunder are 40-12. The Spurs are 35-16. The Denver Nuggets, though, 33-19. With one of the most injured rosters in the NBA right now. So you're having a Coach of the Year season from David Adelman, who has not let their records suffer from the injuries that they have unfortunately had this season. An MVP season for Nikola Jokic, a most improved comeback player, 6-man season for Peyton Watson. You name it, he could take it. You could have a Tim Hardaway as a 6th man of the year, when he's not starting, when the roster's healthy. He's been exceptionally impressive for this Denver Nuggets team. You could even make a case for Spencer Jones for 6th man of the year. You've got Jamal Murray as the All-Star. You can make a case for him being clutch player of the year. The list goes on with this Denver Nuggets team. So they're having what feels kind of like a historic season because you've got all these guys on this team that are, you could make a case for all of these different accolades, and yet they're having one of the most trying and difficult seasons that we've seen in a while. They're injured like crazy, but this is a really good year, in my opinion. This is a really good year because what we struggled with so badly last season, and this is not confirmed information, this is what I am taking from the season last year based on what we were hearing from the Calvin Booth and Michael Malone drama, all things considered last year. I think there was a culture issue, right? You saw Nikola Jokic many times last season get very, very frustrated. What is our defensive scheme? What is our defensive identity? Who are the Denver Nuggets? And then you had Michael Malone that wanted to do one thing and Calvin Booth that wanted to do another. I mean, it really was, in so many ways, there was just no identity to the Denver Nuggets. There was no culture. There was no chemistry. I don't know. I wasn't in the locker room, but I can imagine there was probably some tension at times. What you're seeing now is a team that's like truly meeting each other where they're at. You're not always going to get the best out of a Christian Braun or a Nikola Jokic or a Jamal Murray or whatever, but I really think this team is doing such an exceptional job of representing the next man up mentality and being prepared for whatever, whenever. Peyton Watson has been one of the most valuable players on the team this season. He's now out for 4 weeks. How do you respond? We can all sit and boo-hoo about it. Trust me, I think I had a little tear right here in the corner of my eyeball. Sure did. But what do you do? There's nothing you can do. Peyton Watson is out for 4 weeks. Who's stepping up? And you've got guys that have proven over the course of the last few months, with all of the injuries this Nuggets team has had to face, you've got guys that have proven that they can rise to the occasion. So this is a really important year for the Denver Nuggets. They're learning a lot about themselves. And I think if this Denver Nuggets team can get even this much healthier than they are right now, this is a team that should be feared by the league. Yes, I believe it. They should always be feared because they've got Nikola Jokic on their team. That automatically makes them scary. That automatically should instill fear in the rest of the league. But then you add on top of that the way in which they've been able to play and win games despite what they've gone through this season. That's a skill. That's a skill. So I'm excited for this Denver Nuggets team. I honestly think it's very easy for us to look at these injuries, right? I do it all the time, to look at these injuries and lose hope. I'm going to encourage you not to do that. It's a long season, very, very long season. There's a lot of games left to be played and a lot of things can happen. OKC is another very banged up team right now. Injuries are going to happen regardless. It's the nature of the game. But this Nuggets team has proven that despite the injuries, they can still be a winning basketball team. That's massive. So I think this Nuggets team, and I encourage Nuggets Nation, do not lose hope in these injuries. It sucks, absolutely, and I agree with you. I'm feeling just as bummed as you are, but this team knows how to respond. This team knows how to respond. This is an accolade-stacked season for the Denver Nuggets. You can make a case, All-Star, check. You can make a case for MVP, sixth man, most improved, comeback player. I'm going to start making up awards at this point. That's what you're seeing from this Denver Nuggets team. Coach of the year. Okay, so we're not going to lose faith. We're not going to lose hope. We're just going to hope that whatever's going on with their bodies, I don't know if it's this global warming winter we're having. I don't know if there's something that needs to change in the training that's going on. Something's got to give a little bit because it is feeling a little excessive at this point. But this team knows how to respond. They've been doing it all season. They're not going to stop now. Okay? They're not going to stop now. So we're going to be good. We're going to be good. We're going to make a quick transition, you guys, into all things football. I've talked a little bit about the NBA trade deadline, the Denver Nuggets, all the things. Oh, that's a lie. I have one more conversation I want to have with you. Just one more. Jamal Murray. This is a quote from Jamal Star Murray. He says, I really kind of lost interest in All-Star. I'd rather go on vacation if that's the basketball that we're going to be playing. I would like to play hard. You know what, Jamal? Thank you for finally saying what we're all thinking. Unfortunately, the All-Star game has lost its touch. It's lost its magic, right? It's still obviously an honor to make an All-Star game. It is, of course. But the way that we've kind of tweaked and changed how the All-Star game is run, the way that the All-Star game falls in the middle of the season, I can tell you right now, especially the Denver Nuggets, who have had an obscene amount of road games, travel issues because of weather, back-to-back matchups, what athlete would want to play in an All-Star game over taking a week off to rest their body? Especially if that All-Star game isn't being played with the same intensity that every other game they play is. When you're a competitor, when you're an athlete, when you like get high off of winning, which is what good athletes do, that's like literally an adrenaline rush. They live for those moments. But the All-Star game has kind of become a popularity contest. I talked about it last show. It's more about reputation than it is about the season that you actually have had. The All-Star game has changed. It's evolved. It's not the same as it used to be. I think it's even lost the appeal for the watchers, the viewers, the consumers of the All-Star game don't really enjoy it the way that we used to. To me, this Jamal Star Murray quote here, and I'm probably going to call him Jamal Star Murray all season, so get familiar. This Jamal Star Murray quote is very Kobe mentality-esque. If I'm going to play, I'm going to play right. And if I'm not going to play right, then I'd rather go on a vacation and rest my body. What's wrong with that? Jamal is finally saying what we've all been feeling about the All-Star game. Now, could this have been Jamal's way of making this a one-and-done situation for him? Does the NBA really want their athletes being honest about the All-Star game? Probably not. I mean, fans have been calling for changes to be made to the All-Star game for a long time now. But an athlete doing it, it's a little too close to home. The call's coming from inside the house. You don't really want that. So, could this have been Jamal's way of making sure he's never an all-star again, which I don't think he was trying to do, but I think unfortunately that might be the case. Maybe, but he definitely said what we've all felt before. So I love his honesty. And I agree. If these guys aren't going to play the game with the utmost, competitive nature and aggression and play tough and play, like they really care about this game, then what's the point? It's the middle of the season. Their bodies are tired. Give them the week off instead. So we've watched the All-Star game evolve into something that feels like a waste of time. And I think Jamal's kind of expressing like, yeah, if I don't get to play hard and tough, like I know how to play, then I don't want to play. Like it's that simple. These are competitive athletes at the end of the day. We cannot forget that. So Jamal Star, thank you for saying what we've all been thinking. I don't think the league is thankful for it, but I know we are. So appreciate it. Okay, now we can move on to all things football. We've got the big game this weekend, you guys. We've got some things to discuss. So we're going to make our little transition here into all things Super Bowl, football, NFL, you name it. But first, we have got to get into something else that's kind of a hot topic here. I know, not sports related whatsoever, but it is a debate. It does deserve an answer, and it does deserve a conversation to be had. Den Perks presents the Great Pineapple on Pizza debate. Yes, it's true. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Well, Den Perks features 200 plus restaurants, retailers, and services across every concourse at Denver International Airport. And Den Perks Rewards members earn rewards every time they shop or dine at the airport. By the way, I'm sure if you looked at how much money you spend shopping and dining at the airport, it would make you sick. It's time to be rewarded for it. National Pizza Day is February 9th, and we're settling one of the biggest debates ever known to man in food history. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Listen, I know my answer, and I feel like my answer is the only right answer that exists on the planet when it comes to this debate. And really, it actually has nothing really to do with the pineapple itself. It more has to do with the fact that everything belongs on pizza. That is the beauty of pizza. Pizza is literally bread, crust with toppings. Toppings, we don't discriminate when it comes to toppings. Not in my household, okay? Now through February 16th, head to pizza.denperks.com to vote yes or no to whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza, and then sign up to become a Den Perks Rewards member. When you sign up, you're automatically entered for a chance to win $1,000 as a grand prize, or one of several $100 runner-up prizes. Get paid to eat and shop with Den Perks. Like I said, we all travel, we all go to the Denver International Airport, and we all spend money there. Whether we want to or not, it's time to be rewarded for it. So make sure you head to pizza.denperks.com to answer the debate, does pineapple belong on pizza? Like I said, there's only one right answer. Okay, great. Let's move on. Football time. It's time for some more debates. You guys know I love a good debate, but pineapple belonging on pizza, to me, that's a very simple one. And the answer is yes. Okay, moving on. Football. The Broncos season ended, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean that the football season ended. I mean, for me, mentally, it kind of did. Emotionally, I detached. But we do still have the very big game this weekend. And I want to start with something. Oh my gosh. I hate when I have to speak what feels like common sense to people, but here I go. Okay? Here I go. This is a very gentle reminder, and I actually want to also extend this reminder out to my content as well, consumers of my content. But this goes far past that when it comes to this Sunday, the big game, okay? Very, very gentle reminder that in no way, shape, or form are you required to sit through anything that you don't want to sit through. Meaning, if you already know that you don't like the halftime performer or the halftime performance, why sit through it? Why watch it? Why watch it just so you can tell people for the 500th time how much you didn't like it? You already know you don't like it, so don't watch. It's very simple. I've also seen a lot of conversations. Oh my God, this is going to be the world's most boring Super Bowl between the Seattle Seahawks and the Patriots. No one is making you watch this game. Nobody. It takes me back to the discourse we had earlier this season when everybody was up in arms about male cheerleaders on the sidelines. Nobody's making you watch them. So maybe we should have a deeper conversation. Why are you watching them if you hate them so bad? If you know you hate this halftime performance, don't turn it on. Please, spare us the antics, spare us the negative Nancy energy. Just don't watch it. If you know you already have worked yourself up to a point where you hate it, you've already made yourself pissed off about it, don't watch it. And this is where I say it's common sense because honest to goodness, if I don't like something, I typically avoid it. I don't fascinate over it. I don't obsess over it. I don't go out of my way to seek it out. If I don't like something, I avoid it. So this is just my very simple common sense. At this point, you guys, it really is common sense, I'm afraid. This is my common sense request that if you already know you don't like something, don't tune in. Don't watch. Just so that you can go onto your social media and declare for the 700th time how awful it was. Just don't watch it. Ignorance is bliss, I'm afraid. So just don't tune in. So this is just a very gentle reminder. This is a very logical, common sense thing. If it feels like I'm talking down to you, then maybe I am, because I really don't think this is all that difficult. Just don't watch what you already know you don't like. Okay? Because I actually love the game of football, and there have been times in my life where I haven't preferred the halftime performance. I have not let it eat me up inside. I simply go check the wings in the oven and come back, and before I know it, the game of football is back on. This also applies to the game of football, though. If you already know that you are just going to be this just negative, nasty creature on Sunday because you can't stand that the Super Bowl is versus the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots, don't watch. Turn off your TV. Go find something better to do. Otherwise, watch it and shut up. It's that simple. You know what I mean? Those are your options. You either don't turn it on or you turn it on and you just act like a normal person and you just deal with it. So yeah, that's all I've got for you on that one. I just wanted to give the most gentle reminder that you don't have to put yourself through torture. And honestly, if you're the type of person that puts yourself through something that you know is going to be torturous, maybe go speak to a specialist, because I don't think that's normal to want to be unpleasant and uncomfortable by choice. That just feels a little odd. So I don't know. That's between you and therapy, not me, not my business. I'm just saying it would probably make sense that if you know you already don't like something, don't engage. Disengage, folks. Disengage. If you hate it, just disengage. Okay. Enough about that, though. Who's winning this game that everyone thinks is so boring? Listen, if we're going solely based on the conference championship games, I think it's very simple to say that the Seattle Seahawks will win by 1 million. That's the truth. Because to me, the Rams and the Seahawks were the two best teams in the league, and the Seattle Seahawks were able to score quite a bit and able to, keep themselves alive and able to take down Matthew Stafford and company, the MVP that is Matthew Stafford. So based on conference games alone, and I don't want to hear, well, the weather was bad in New England. Actually, for the whole first half, that's why I'm a little irritated with both squads in the AFC, the Denver Broncos, my team, and the Patriots, is there wasn't bad weather until later in the game. And it was still kind of embarrassing what was going on. Can someone please score? Please, quickly. We need to see more of that immediately. So based on conference championship games alone, Seattle by 1 million. Seattle by 1 million. But when I want to get legit and when I really want to think about this, here's the deal. It's weird if you're still in the company of trying to deny that Drake May is a great quarterback. It's weird. It's weird if you're still trying to use their schedule against them. They're in the Super Bowl, for God's sakes, okay? And I guarantee you, your favorite team, one season or another, had a very easy schedule. And I guarantee you in that same season, they didn't make it to the Super Bowl. So just because there's a schedule that you didn't think was all that difficult, and listen, I've seen a lot of these conversations taking place online. A lot of conversations have taken place online where when you compare and contrast, Stafford versus defenses versus Drake versus defenses, listen, there's a lot that can be very aligned here. So at this point, let it go. Drake May is in the Super Bowl. Yeah. And despite what you think about the record and you think about their schedule and how easy it may have been or whatever the case, just know that they're in the Super Bowl, and I think they're going to give us a game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout, okay? What the New England Patriots have been able to do is kind of similar to what the Denver Broncos were doing, which is silencing the haters, really. Basically telling the haters to shove it, Like, we don't care what you think about us. We're still going to play the game of football, and we're going to do it well. What I will say, though, that is a little bit of cause for concern is that the New England Patriots, Drake May specifically, hasn't looked great in the postseason specifically, which is why I do feel confident in taking the Seattle Seahawks. Now, seeing how much public money, and yes, I think this way, seeing how much public money is on the Seahawks to cover makes me a little nervous. So, don't know if I love that particularly. The last time that I checked, this game was looking like, I think it was 4.5 that the Seahawks were favored by. I'm going to check just so that I make sure I'm not speaking incorrectly here. But I believe it was 4.5. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks are still favored by 4.5 in this moment as I'm discussing this right now. The public loves the Seahawks to cover, which makes me hate the Seahawks to cover. That being said, I do love the Seahawks to win. So I'm thinking this could be like, I don't know, here's my score prediction. 27-24, Seattle. I think Seattle wins. I think they are your Super Bowl champions. I think we will see Sam Darnold win a Super Bowl before Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. Yes, I think we're in that time right now of life, okay? The main characters are changing. It's crazy, but we're here. I do think Sam Darnold and company win the Super Bowl, but I don't know if they cover that 4.5-point spread because I got to tell you, I love to fade the public. I love it. I love it. And I love that people still think to this day that the Patriots are like an average football team. They're in the Super Bowl, guys. And if your team were better, then they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl, right? Like, I can be a hater all I want as a Denver Broncos fan, but the reality is that if my Denver Broncos were better, they would have won. And they didn't. Same goes for the Texans. Same goes for anybody. If your team were better and could give us a better Super Bowl, they would be there. They're not. The Patriots are. So I think it is a little foolish for anyone to sit and think that the Patriots won't be able to give us a good football game. Now, the conference championship was a nightmare. I watched it as a Broncos fan. I didn't love it. It wasn't great. They didn't look awesome. But, you've got a coach of the year, an assistant coach of the year, and a almost MVP on this team. Let's not pretend like they're not going to give us a good football game. Please. Give me 27-24 Seattle. Seattle will not cover 4.5, but they'll win. That's my prediction. Another little hot take for you. Drake May, potentially, most rushing yards in this game. I could see it. I could see Drake May getting a little mobile and having the most rushing yards in this game out of anybody. I don't know. Might be worth a little sprinkle. Might be worth a little sprinkle, guys, okay? So those are my predictions for this wonderful Super Bowl. I think you could probably sprinkle maybe, I don't know, a little bit on Cooper Kupp anytime touchdown. I don't hate it. Kenneth Walker over on receiving yards. Yeah, I like those things. So that's where I'm at. It's crazy to think that the year is about to be over, the football season. And just like that, we're going to be right back into the mix of who are these teams acquiring in the offseason. Broncos, do your thing, right? Let's get us a fast receiver with reliable hands, ASAP. Yeah. Let's get Davis Webb calling plays. Yeah, I think so. A lot of things. I mean, we're immediately after Sunday, we are on to the next season. It's gone by insanely fast. I'm very, very excited for this game. And it's crazy because I just don't think there were very many people preseason that looked at these two teams and said, that's going to be our Super Bowl matchup. Now, if you look up that graphic that the NFL themselves posted before the season started, spooky conspiracy hour. Yes, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I love them. So yeah, I've already been like, okay, drop the next graphic for next season so I can start placing some futures bets ASAP. NFL. No, I'm kidding. Mostly, but not really at all. So anyway, go Seahawks. That's my vote. I've got the Seahawks winning by 3 field goal. I think it goes back and forth. And I want to, before we wrap things up, quickly touch on Drake May. Was Drake May snubbed of MVP? This is the tightest it's ever been between first and second from what I read. Tightest it's ever been. I believe Stafford got 24 first place votes and Drake May got 23. I'm seeing some discourse here on the votes, right? There was a gentleman that did take to his Twitter to admit to the world, I was the one Justin Herbert first place vote. So let me just say one thing really quick. Can you blame that one Justin Herbert on the reason Drake May was snubbed from MVP? No, because that guy could have been a Stafford over May guy. We don't know. We don't know where his vote would have gone if they said, hey, doofus, you're not voting for Justin Herbert. Are you out of your mind? So first of all, no, you can't blame the snubbing, if you will, on that one vote. That being said, that voter should lose their privileges. Absolutely, yes, 100%. Justin Herbert? What are you talking about? Like, this is great. We need to do background checks. We need to do background checks, folks, before we let people vote. I'm telling you right now, you know, we do that in the political climate, right? We need to do it in sports. Because what do you mean Justin Herbert for MVP? Are you mad? Where did you get that from? He actually took to Twitter. He's like, well, Justin Herbert didn't have this, and this, and this. And oh my God, here we go. Yes, he didn't have that. And he still lost in the AFC. What are you talking about? Like, please stop it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, I think there should definitely be a much more strict program that we're running in terms of who we're letting cast a vote. Because what? I think this guy should definitely lose his privileges moving forward. But no, I don't think that the one vote for Justin Herbert is the reason Drake May got snubbed, because who knows how that vote would have gone if they said you have to pick between these two. He may have gone Stafford. It was a tight race nonetheless. I got to tell you, I can't justify the most valuable player not even winning their division. That I can say. Matthew Stafford, statistically better in every category than Drake May, and this is a regular season award, but in the regular season, Drake May won his division and Matthew Stafford didn't. I can't justify the most valuable player not even winning their division. I just can't. And I'm a little salty because I had the Rams winning their division as a prediction, as a pick. I did. Yeah, I did. I had a really nice parlay. And Matthew Stafford and company ruined it. Yeah. No, I'm over it. It's fine. I'll be okay. But yeah, I can't justify the most valuable player in the league not winning their division. So the fact that it was a tight race doesn't surprise me because I probably would have voted Drake May. Honestly, not that they care, not that my vote matters, but I would have. So the tight race, it is what it is. Matthew Stafford is phenomenal. I'm never denying him of that. But Matthew Stafford and the Rams couldn't win their division. That, to me, isn't really conducive with most valuable player. You know what I mean? That's it. But it is what it is. I don't think you can say that the Justin Herbert vote is why Drake May got snubbed. I think Drake May, unfortunately, may have been caught in a season of Matthew Stafford deserves one, and he's got better stats, so let's give it to him. Now, here's where I have a problem, though, folks. Did Lamar Jackson have better stats than Josh Allen last season? Yeah, he did. He did. Yeah, he did. So, that's where the MVP kind of loses its charm to me, loses its validity to me, because last season, Lamar Jackson was statistically better in almost every single category than Josh Allen. And he didn't win MVP. And the reason people are saying that Matthew Stafford won over Drake May is because he was statistically better in every category than Drake May was. But you didn't have that energy last season. That's weird. Okay. So, the MVP is just one of those where I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Whatever. I'm actually starting to not care about MVP. How sad. But it is a popularity contest. And I do think this might have been one of those seasons where, because he was statistically better in most, if not every category than Drake May, it was like, perfect. We can give Stafford his MVP. Because there's been a few seasons as of late, you probably could have made a case for it, right? But you just didn't, or you couldn't right? Because there was just that popularity aspect, whatever the case. Let's be real, though. There is not a system to the MVP winner. There's not. You don't have to check a certain amount of boxes. You don't. Because like I said, you chose Stafford because he was statistically better, but you didn't choose Lamar Jackson, who was statistically better. So, there really isn't a system here, guys. This is not a system process. This is an opinion process. This is a subjective process. So, I hate to say that it's losing the appeal, but it totally is. Drake May, you know what you did this season. You made it to the Super Bowl, man. I know it's a regular season award, but you've got MVP in you. You know that. And a lot of the league knows that, right? And Stafford as well, guys. Like, Stafford is amazing. I am a huge fan of Stafford. But I've also got beef with the Rams a little bit because they didn't win their division and I needed them to. So there. So yeah, Drake May would have had my vote. But it was a close race for a reason. These are two excellent quarterbacks. So, we don't need to spend too much time being upset about it. But I will just say, we're not going to also act like the MVP has this very strict system. And if you don't check these boxes, you don't win. Please stop. Stop. They probably already know who the MVP is next season. Let's be real. Come on. Let's not do that. Anyway. That does it, guys. That freaking does it for another episode of Mood Swings with Liv Moods, presented by none other than Landmark Lincoln. And by the way, Landmark Lincoln, the Lincoln Certified Sales event is happening now at Landmark Lincoln. Discover the confidence of Lincoln Certified pre-owned vehicles, meticulously inspected, thoughtfully refined, and ready for the road ahead. For a limited time, enjoy special APR rates starting at 2.49% for up to 48 months and 4.49% for up to 72 months. Luxury, performance, and peace of mind. Find your sanctuary only at Landmark Lincoln. Thank you guys for tuning in. We've got the big game this weekend. We'll have another episode of Mood Swings for you on Monday to recap the NFL season. I'm Liv Moods signing off for now. We'll see you Monday. Thanks for tuning in and happy Super Bowl. Bye.